Dear friends, we start with electric current CET part. Now, we read the first question. The resistance of metallic conductor increases with temperature because, say, free electron density increases. First option is wrong because electron density remains constant. Conductor expands. So that's also not a thing because conductor expansion is very small. Number of collisions between the electron carriers increases. No, that is also not wrong. Electron and electron cannot collide. So the fourth option, number of collisions between the electrons and the vibrating ion cores of the conductor increases. This is the correct option. Therefore, for the first question in this session is the fourth option correct. Now we read second question there. A metal wire is subjected to a constant potential difference. When the temperature of metal wire increases, drift velocity of the electron in it. Say, observe here along in the options as we read, along with that drift velocity, thermal velocity ideas are also given. That will help us to reduce our number of choices here. Say, as temperature increases, thermal velocity definitely decreases. Definitely increases. Therefore, third and fourth option cannot be. Because in the third and fourth, thermal velocity of electron decreases is there, which is wrong. Therefore, in the first and second only. And also, drift velocity of the electron in it. Say, drift velocity formula, Vd equals mu E or, let me write it here, E tau by m into E, where tau is relaxation time, and as we know, as the temperature increases, relaxation time decreases, so Vd also should decrease. Therefore, the first option is correct. Now, going for the third question now, the electron drift speed is small and charge of the electron is also small, but still we can obtain large current in a conductor. This is due to, observe, all these things are small. We read one by one. The electron number is in a conductor is small. That's wrong. The electron number, density of the conductor is enormous. This is correct because n value is of the order of 10 raised to 25 or 26 in metals. Therefore, this large number of free electron will contribute to the large current even when other factors are very small. So option 2 is correct. Going for the fourth question now. Mobility of free electrons in a conductor is, say, mobility means how freely electron moves. Directly proportional to electron density, it is wrong. Then directly proportional to relaxation time. This is correct because in the previous question we have written mu as E tau by m. As tau increases, mu also increases. So directly proportional to the relaxation time, second option is correct. The fifth question is like this. In the IV graph for a metal at temperatures T1, T2, T3 are given, the temperatures are related. As this is IV graph, according to Ohm's law, this graph, the straight line slope indicates 1 by the resistance value. That is, slope is inversely proportional to the resistance. And also we know resistance directly proportional to the temperature. Therefore, say, observe, for the T1 temperature, slope is less. As slope is less, its resistance is more. Its resistance is more means temperature is also more. So T1 is larger. Definitely T2 is slightly smaller. T3 is much smaller because its slope is more, reciprocal is less. So option 1 is correct. Here the logic, let me go through the logic once again. Say, in IV graph, slope is 1 by R and R proportional to temperature. Therefore, we can decide the answer T1. That is first option. T1 greater than T2 greater than T3. Because slope for the T1 temperature is smaller, its resistance is larger. Therefore, temperature is also larger. Option 1 is correct. Now going for the sixth question. A current of 5 ampere is passing through a metallic wire of cross-sectional area 4 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter square. If the density of the charge carriers of the wire are 5 into 10 raised to 26 per meter cube, the drift velocity of the electron, it's a simple straightforward substitution. We are given with current, area and the number density of the electron. We straight away use I equals NeAVD and substitute everything to get the drift velocity. I by NEA, I is 5 ampere divided by N, 5 into 10 raised to 26, E 1.6 10 raised to minus 19, area 4 into 10 raised to minus 6. Therefore, observe, if we cancel all these things, what we have now here is, say, let me write it here, 10 raised to 26 minus 19. So that means 7 will be there, minus 7 minus 6, minus 7 minus 6 is minus 13. Therefore, what we have is plus 13 in the numerator. We go for the calculation like this. N 5 into 10 raised to 26, we substitute, we just check the substitutions once again. 1.6 10 raised to minus 19, area 4 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter square. We go for the simplification now. In the denominator we have 6.4 into, in the new 10 raised to 26, in the numerator 10 raised to 25. Therefore, we have 1 by 64 approximately, which will give us 1.56 into 10 raised to minus 2. 1.56 10 raised to minus 2. So, fourth option is correct. Fourth option is correct. Now going for the seventh question, we read it. Specific resistance of a conductor of material increases with increase in area of cross section. In fact, remember here, rho is a proportionality constant. It cannot depend on the physical, say, quantities like length and area. Therefore, first two options are wrong. Third option also depends on the area. That's also wrong. Fourth option, as it says, increases with temperature. Definitely it is correct. So, specific resistance of the conductor material increases with temperature. Now, going for the eighth question, variation of the resistance of conductor with temperature is as shown. The temperature quotient alpha of the conductor is, say, we know the expression for resistance at any temperature RT equals R0 into 1 plus alpha T, where R0 is resistance at 0 degree Celsius and T is T minus 0, strictly speaking. T is change in temperature from 0 degree Celsius. If we expand this side, right hand side, alpha R0 T we get, then we can write it as Y equals C plus mx, where x is time, x is temperature on the temperature axis and y is resistance axis. Therefore, this m now have alpha R0, which is equal to slope of this line. We are asked to calculate alpha there. So, alpha equals m by R0. The fourth option is correct. Fourth option is correct. Ninth question we take. The quantity of charge that will be transferred by a current flow 20 ampere over 1 hour 30 minutes period is, say, we use formula I equals Q by T. I is given 20, Q to be calculated, divided by time period, 1 hour 30 minutes. We write it in seconds. 1 hour means 60 seconds, say 3600 seconds, and 30 minutes means say 30 into 60, 180. We go for the seconds now. 1 hour 30 minutes means I can write 90 minutes, and I can simply write Q by 90 into 60 seconds. If we simplify these things, we go for the calculation now. Say 1 hour 30 minutes is 90 minutes, and into seconds to be converted, minutes is 60 seconds, 1 minute is, therefore Q equals 20, 90 into 60. We calculate this. 2 9s are 18, 18 6 are 108, therefore 18 6 are 108. Therefore, we have 18 6 are 108 into 10 raised to 3. Therefore, from that we can decide 10.8, 10 raised to 4 as the option. Option 2 is correct. Now, going for the 10th question there, a piece of copper is to be shaped into a conducting wire of maximum resistance. The suitable length and diameter are dash and dash respectively. Say here we want to use the formula R equals rho L by A, or in terms of diameter it becomes 4 rho L by pi d square. This tells us for which combination L by d is largest, for that resistance is also larger. Therefore, we can simply write R proportional to L by d square. L by d square. Say from these calculations, in the first one it simply gives same resistance. In the second it becomes twice the resistance because L becomes 2L. In the third one it becomes 1/4 because L by 2 and denominator is 2D whole square means 4. 1 by 8 of the resistance will be generated. That is not possible. In the fourth one, length is 2L, diameter is D by 2 means D square by 4. 4 into 2, 8. 8 times the R, so that is the maximum value. Therefore, we can substitute and calculate, but easy to grasp like that only. Therefore, option 4 is correct because that will generate the maximum resistance, because in the numerator 2 will be multiplied. In the denominator D by 2 is there, whole square means D square by 4. That 4 goes to numerator, makes it as 8 times the R, original R. Therefore, fourth option is correct. Next, going for the 11th question. Of the following graphs, the one that correctly represents IV characteristics of a ohmic device. Ohmic device means which obeys Ohm's law, that is strength of current directly proportional to the potential difference. That means it should be a straight line. Therefore, option C is correct. Going for the 12th question there, Ohm's law is applicable to electric conductor because according to limitations of Ohm's law, diode and transistors are semiconductors for which the Ohm's law is not valid. Electrolyte is also for which the Ohm's law is not valid. So fourth option, the conductor, is correct. Siemens is the unit of, in fact, we know the Siemens is the unit of conductance. So that is option 1. Now 14th question. Resistance of a coil is 4.2 ohm and at 100 degrees Celsius, and temperature coefficient of the resistance is 0.004 per degree Celsius. Then its resistance at 0 degrees Celsius. We simply substitute RT equals R naught into 1 plus alpha T equation. We get the final thing. RT is 4.2 ohms. R naught to be calculated, 1 plus alpha is 0.004 into temperature rise is 100. So if we simplify it, 4.2 R naught on this side. Observe here, if we multiply it, we will get 1 plus 0.4. That means R naught will be 4.2 by 1.4, which amounts to be 3. Therefore, option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Now we go for 15th question. A uniform wire of resistance R is uniformly compressed along its length until its radius becomes n times the original radius. Now the resistance of the wire. Observe, when we compress it, the wire becomes, say, broader and broader. That means its area of cross section goes on increasing, length decreases to keep the volume constant. In the same manner, when we stretch the wire, its length increases and area decreases. So now we use this idea. Say initial length L1, initial area A1, final length L2, final area A2. If we write areas in the radius, L1 pi R1 square, L2 pi R2 square. Therefore, we can simply write L1 by L2 as R2 by R1 whole square. So with this, now we go for R1, R2 by R1. R2 is final resistance after compression, R1 is initial resistance. We substitute rho L by A, rho L1 by A1, rho L2 by A2. Therefore, L1 by L2 into A2 by A1. But A2 by A1 can be written as like this. Say L1 by L2 into pi R2 square by R1, pi R1 square. So R2 by R1 whole square. Therefore, from the L1 by L2 expression, we have R2 by R1, R2 by R1 whole to the power of 4. Now, as it becomes n times n R1 by R1 whole to the power of 4, therefore, we can write R2 as R by n to the power of 4. So, first option is correct. First option is correct. Now we go for 16th question. A wire is stretched such that its length increases by 0.2%. Its resistance, say, percentage increase in its resistance to be calculated. We know R2 when wire is stretched is given by n square R1. Here we go for where n is to what extent length is increased. For that we simply think of it like this. We want to have the percentage variation. Percentage variation is given by R2 by R1 minus 1 into 100. But as we know, when the length increases, the resistance also increases. First we calculate length increases. Length increases L2 can be written as L1 plus 0.2% of L1, that is 0.2 by 100 into L1. That means 1.002 L1. And as R is proportional to L1 and also inversely proportional to A1, R1 proportional to L1 by A1, we can simply write R2 as L2 by L1 whole square. Therefore, percentage variation R2 by R1 as L2 by L1 whole square. Therefore, percentage variation as we can write L2 by L1 whole square minus 1 into 100, which amounts to be 1.002 whole square. That means 1.004 minus 1 into 100, which amounts to be 0.4%. So, increase in resistance should be there as temperature increases. Therefore, it is positive. Therefore, there's an increase in resistance of by 0.4%. So option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Now going for the 17th question. Temperature coefficient of platinum is 4 into 10 raised to minus 3 at 20 degrees Celsius. The temperature at which the increase in resistance of the platinum is 10% of its initial value. Here, I want to use this formula 1 by R, delta R by delta T for the value of alpha. So here I take R as, say, here I write like this. Just observe, delta R by R is 10%. That is 10 by 100. 10 by 100. Therefore, we substitute everything there and we calculate. Alpha is given. Therefore, I want to calculate delta T, which is T2 minus T1, which is equal to, say, 0.1 divided by delta R by R is 0.1, which amounts to be 0.1, divided by alpha. 0.1 by alpha is 4 into 10 raised to minus 3, which goes to numerator because 10 raised to 2, so it becomes 100 by 4, so 25. Therefore, T2 is 25 plus T1, which is 25 plus 20, 45 degrees Celsius. Say third option is correct. Therefore, it is 45 degrees. Now, going for the 18th question. A current of 2 ampere is passing through a metal wire of cross-sectional area 2 into 10 raised to minus 6 meters square. The drift speed of the electrons and E value is given. Charge on electron value. Here we straight away substitute for the calculations. I equals NEA-VD or VD equals I by NEA, as we did in the previous one of the previous problems. I is given to N. N is given to be 5 into 10 raised to 26 into E 1.6 10 raised to minus 19 into area 2 into 10 raised to minus 6. Say if we calculate all these things, observe carefully, 19 minus 6, 25 plus 26, only 1 left there. 1 means, say, plus 1. Therefore, this amounts to be 1 by 80 it happens because, observe, this 2 goes there. 1 by 1.6 into 5 is 8. 8 into 10 is 80. 1 by 80 meter per second. So, option 2 is correct. Going for the 19th question, 2 copper wires, one of length 1 meter and other of length 9 meter, have the same resistance. The diameters are in the ratio. It is given resistance are same, but we have to calculate the diameter ratio. Therefore, I use R proportional to L by D square because area is pi d square by 4. So, remaining things are constant, L by D square. We want to calculate the diameter ratio as the resistance are same. L1 by D1 square equals L2 by D2 square. D1 by D2 whole square equals L1 by L2. L1 by L2 is 1 by 9. Therefore, D1 by D2 is 1 by 3 after taking the square root. So, option 2 is correct. Option 2 is correct. 20th question we take now. A cylindrical conductor of diameter 0.1 millimeter carries a current of 90 milliampere. The current density is, the current density is asked. We know current density is I by A, which is J. We substitute everything here. I by area is pi d square by 4. I is given to be 90 milliampere, 90 into 10 raised to minus 3 for milli, and pi is asked to take 3 into d, 0.1 millimeter, that I can write as 10 raised to minus 1. For the timing I write 0.1, 10 raised to minus 3 for millimeter whole square, divided by 4 will goes to numerator. Now 330 times it goes, say 30 into 4 is 120. What is the power there? 0.1 is 10 raised to minus 1, so minus 4, it becomes minus 8. When it goes to numerator, plus 8, it becomes 120, 10 raised to minus 3 into 10 raised to 8 there. Therefore, 120, 10 raised to 5, which can be written as 1.2, 10 raised to 7. Therefore, option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. The 21st question. The temperature quotient of resistance of the wire is given. Its resistance is 1 ohm at 300 Kelvin. Its resistance will be 2 ohm at. We are asked to calculate the temperature. We use the formula for alpha, which measures the resistance at two temperatures, or which depends on the resistances at two different temperatures. Say R2 at T2, R1 at T1 temperature, and the formula is in the denominator R1 T2 minus R2 T1. Now we substitute everything, we can calculate the things there. Alpha is 0.00125, R2 is 2 ohms minus R1, 1 ohm, divided by 1 into T2 to be calculated, minus R2, 2 ohms into T1. Observe, T1 is given in Kelvin. It is better to use in degree Celsius. Otherwise, this T2 will also be to be manipulated. Therefore, I want to convert 300 Kelvin into degree Celsius. So, T1 I can write as 300 minus 273, which amounts to be 27. So, 27, which will give us 1 by T2 minus 54. But on the right side, 125. 0.00125 can be written as 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 4, which is 1 by T2 minus 54. Now we go for the final calculation. Say 1.25 can be written as we know, 1 by 8 is 0.125. So 1 by 10 by 8 I can write here. 1.8 is written as 1.25 can be written as 110 by 8 into 10 raised to minus 4 by T2 minus 54. Therefore, final calculation results like this. 10 raised to minus 4 plus 1 is 10 raised to 3. If it goes on to other side, it becomes T2 minus 54 equals T2 minus 54 equals 8 into, say here, 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 3 I have to write, minus 3. Therefore, it is 10 square there. T2 is 854 degrees Celsius. So in Kelvins, T2 is 854 plus 273, which amounts to be 1127 Kelvin. So option 3 is right. Option 3 is right. Question number 22nd. A carbon film resistor has color code green, black, violet, gold. The value of the resistance Observe, it is a color coded resistance. We are given green, black, violet and gold. We know how to decode the colors because we know from black we start, BB, Roy goes to Bombay via Gateway. That means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have green first, green is 5, black next 0 into violet is 10 raised to 7 there into gold plus or minus 5% for gold. So which amounts to be 500, 10 raised to 6 it becomes mega plus or minus 5%. So option is 500 plus or minus 5% mega ohms is right. So option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Going for the 23rd question, a battery supplies 150 watt and 196 watt power to two resistors 6 ohm and 4 ohm when they are connected separately to it. The internal resistance of the battery, we do first thing, we calculate voltage when we connect to 6 ohms, when we connect to 96, say 4 ohms. For that I use power equals V square by R. Here I write P1 is V1 square by R1. That is 150 V1 square by R1 is 6. So V1 is root of 900 which amounts to be 30 volts. In the same manner for P2 196 equals V2 square by 4. So V2 equals root of 196 into 4 which amounts to be 28 volts. So once we know V1 and V2, we can calculate the internal resistance by this formula. We know V equals E R by R plus R. We substitute everything and we divide. So V1 by V2 is R1 by R1 plus R divided by R2 by R2 plus R. We substitute everything here. 30 by 28 which is equal to R1 6 ohms by R2 4 ohm into R2 plus R in the numerator, R2 4 plus R in the denominator, 6 plus R. Say if we go for the calculation, we can simplify it like this now. So we go for the calculations now. 6 5s are 4 7s. Therefore, if we cross multiply, 30 plus 5R equals 28 plus 7R, which amounts to be 2R equals 2, R equals 1 ohm. So option 4 is correct. Option 4 is correct. We go for the 24th question. A 30 volt 90 watt lamp is to be operated on a 120 volt DC lamp. For proper glow of a resistor of dash ohm should be connected in series with the lamp. Say the lamp is given at the rating of 90 watt and 30 volt. That means it takes a particular value of the current. If we increase the voltage, current also increases. That may damage the bulb or lamp. Therefore, we have to have a resistance in series. For that, we first calculate what is the current drawn by the battery when you connect it with 30 volt. And we adjust the resistance value to get same current when 120 volts is connected. Therefore, I want to calculate the current value when 30 volts is applied at 90 watt. So we know P equals I into V, I equals P by V. P is 90, by V is 30, so I is 3 ampere. If we connect a resistance X along with the resistance of the bulb, when we connect it with 120 volts, we have to calculate the X value. And we calculate the bulb resistance also. Bulb resistance is, according to formula, R equals V by I. V is given to be 30 by I is given to be 3, 10 ohms. So bulb resistance is 10 ohms. If we connect some other resistance X in series to have the same 3 ampere, we can make the bulb to glow. Therefore, I want to write like this. I into R plus X will be 120 now. I is given to be 3 amperes. R is calculated 10 plus X, which is equal to 120. So 340 times it goes. 10 plus X equals 40, or X equals 30 ohms. That means 30 ohms to be connected in series with the lamp to run it at 120 volts. So option number 2 is correct. 25th question. In the circuit shown below, every resistance has 24 ohms. The resistance between terminals P and Q, observe here, these resistances, in the first group, 2 of them are in parallel. In the second group, 3 of them are in parallel. In the third group, 4 of them in parallel, but all of them are in series. And here, all the resistances are identical. So I use a short method or a formula for calculating the parallel resistance in each group. That is, Rp is equal to R by N formula I use, where N is number of resistance in parallel, R is the resistance of each resistance value. Now here, this is 24 and this is 24. This Rp1 is, I call it as Rp1, 24 by 2, which amounts to be 12. In the same manner here, Rp2, say 24 by 3, which amounts to be 8. In the same manner, Rp3, 24 by 4, which amounts to be 6 ohms. Therefore, the effective resistance between P and Q is series of all these Rp1, Rp2, Rp3. So final answer is 12 plus 8 plus 6, which amounts to be 26 ohms. So option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. Dear students, we continue with the 26th question now. We read the question there. Calculate the current I in the circuit shown. Say I is this one, that is total current. It is easy to do because 3 and 6 are in parallel combination. If we can find current through 6 ohms as I dash, we can straight away add 2 amperes to I dash to get I. It is easy because the parallel potential difference across 3 ohms should be equal to potential difference across 6 as they are in parallel. So I write 2 into 3, which is equal to I dash into 6. So I dash is 1 ampere. Therefore, I equals 2 plus I dash, 2 plus 1, which is 3 ampere. So option 2 is correct. Option 2 is correct. Now going for 27th. Two resistors R1 and R2 have effective resistance Rs when connected in series, Rp when connected in parallel. If Rs Rp product is 16 and R1 by R2 is 4, calculate the values of R1 and R2. Say Rs we know R1 plus R2, which is, and Rp we know R1 R2 by R1 plus R2. Therefore, Rs Rp is nothing but R1 R2, which is 16. That means product of two resistors should be 16 and the ratio should be 4. Now observing the 4 options given. Ratio 2 by 0.5, even though it is 4, product is not 16. So first option is not correct. Going for the second option, ratio 1 by 0.25, that is 4, but the product is not 16. Now going for the third option, 8 by 2 is 4 and 8 into 2 is 16. So third option is correct. The answer is third option. 28th question is, now the value of current I in the circuit shown is, say here we have 3 branches, one of 60, 15 and 5, that amounts to be 20 ohms there and 10. Now we learn one thing. We just calculate the effective resistance of this 20 and 10. That is, I call it as RP1, 20 ohms into 10 by 20 plus 10, which is 20 by 3 ohms. Now 20 by 3, the whole combination, two combinations 20 and 10 will give us 20 by 3, that is in parallel with 60. Now we can apply what is called as branch current formula to get I. So I is equal to, this I call as 1 ampere as main current MC. Now the formula is main current into resistance in the other branch. Observe, the resistance is parallel combination of these two, that is 20 by 3, by sum of the resistances 60 plus 20 by 3. Now we substitute everything. Main current is 1, 20 by 3 divided by, say this is 180 plus 20, 200 by 3, 1 by 10 or 0.1 ampere is the answer. Option 2 is correct. Now going for the 29th question, we read, a cell supplies a current of 0.9 ampere through 2 ohm resistor and a current of 0.3 ampere in the 7 ohm resistor. The internal resistance of the cell is, say it gives current in 2 ohms. So I use simple formula E by R plus R. So 0.9 is equal to E by 2 plus R. 0.3 equals E by 7 plus R. So after dividing these two, we get 3 equals 7 plus R by 2 plus R. Simplifying this, 6 plus 3R equals 7 plus R. That is, 3R minus R is 2R equals 7 minus 6, R equals half ohms. Therefore, option 4 is correct, 0.5 ohms. Now, going for the 30th question, 2 wires of same dimensions but respective resistivities are ρ1, ρ2 are connected in series. The equivalent resistivity of the combination. Say I want to draw a figure here like this. Say these two are the wires. One is of resistivity ρ1, another is of resistivity ρ2, and their length L1, L and L, areas remain same. Therefore, according to series combination formula, R should be equal to R1 plus R2. Here, R1 and R2 can be written as ρ1 plus ρ2 L by A. But R can be written as ρ dash, effective distance length is 2L, now double the length, by area remains same, which is equal to ρ1 plus ρ2 by L into L divided by A, which cancels and which will give us ρ dash as ρ1 plus ρ2 by 2. So option 3 is correct. The potential difference between terminals of a cell in the open circuit is 2.2 volts. Observe, it is the open circuit, 2.2. That means EMF. Open circuit potential difference is nothing but EMF, 2.2 volts. With a resistance 5 ohm across the terminals of the cell, potential difference 1.8. Say when resistance of 5 ohm is connected, potential difference V, terminal potential difference, it is 1.8 volt. The internal resistance is asked. We just do this calculation. V equals ER by R plus R. V is 1.8, E 2.2, R 5 divided by 5 plus R. So which amounts to be 11 by 5 plus R. Therefore, 5 plus R equals 11 by 1.8. What can be written as 110 by 18. Therefore, R equals 110 by 18 minus 5, which amounts to be R equals 110 minus 90 by 18. So 20 by 18, that is 10 by 9. Option 4 is correct. Option 4 is correct. Now 32nd question we read. A group of n cells where EMF varies directly as the internal resistance as per the equation En equals 1.5 Rn as connected as shown in the figure. The current I in the circuit is, we know I is equal to net EMF by net resistance. Net EMF by net resistance. Net EMF is N into E, where N is the number of cells, E is the each cell EMF. Each cell EMF. That is what I can write as E1 plus E2 plus E3, like this. So N into EMF, if EMF is same, as EMF is not same, I cancel there E1 plus E2 plus E3 plus etc. En divided by net resistance R1 plus R2 plus R3 etc. And we can write this as 1.5 R1 plus 1.5 R2 etc. 1.5 Rn divided by R1 plus R2 plus R3 etc. Rn. Therefore, I equals 1.5 amperes because R1 plus R2 plus Rn get cancelled. Option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. Now going for the 33rd question, we just look into the problem. In the circuit shown, the internal resistance of the cell is negligible, that is 6 volts is negligible, and steady state current is 2. Current in a 2 ohm resistor is asked. Observe, it is given steady state. That means capacitor is not conducting. That means this overall branch with the capacitance can be eliminated. And the simple circuit now will be 2 and 3 along with cell 6 volts and 2.8 ohms only. Now these two are in parallel. We calculate effective resistance 2 into 3 by 2 plus 3, 6 by 5 ohms, and that is 1.2 ohms. Now we are asked to calculate current in 2 ohms. Therefore, I calculate the net current given by the battery. I equals E by R plus R. EMF is 6 by R is 1.2 plus 2.8 plus negligible internal resistance 0, 6 by 4, so 3 by 2 amperes. Once current is 3 by 2 ampere in the circuit, we can calculate I dash in 2 ohms by branch current formula. I dash equals main current MC into resistance in the other branch by sum of the resistance 3 plus 2. Main current is 3 by 2 ampere into 3 by sum of the resistance 5. Therefore, 9 by 10 or 0.9 ampere is the current through 2 ohm. Therefore, option 3 is correct. Now going for the 34th question. Now in the circuit shown, magnitude and direction of the flow of current is, observe in this circuit, this 8 volts positive is connected to 2 volts positive. That means they are in opposition. Net EMF can be written as only 6 ohms, 6 volts. This is 6 volts positive onto right side and negative onto the left side. Now this is 1 ohm, this is our A, and this is 2 ohm, this is our C, and this is 9 ohm. So net current now can be calculated by formula I equals E by R plus R, E by R plus R, or E by net R, that is E is 6 by R is 9 plus 2 plus 1, that is 6 by 12, 1 by 2 ampere. So 0.5 ampere is the current, and direction, say 8 volts is larger and its positive is towards C. Therefore, direction is from A to C via B. Therefore, the option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Going for the 35th question, a 5 ampere current is set up in an external circuit by a 6 volt storage battery for 6 minutes. The chemical energy of the battery is reduced by, simple idea, energy is given by VIT, where VI is power into time. We substitute everything. V is, say, I is 5 into V, 6 volts, into time, 6 minutes. 6 into minute, 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So that is 30 into 360 here, which amounts to be 108 into 10 raised to 2. 36 into 3 is 108. 0 is 10 raised to 2. Therefore, 1.08, 10 raised to 4. Observe it is energy, therefore joules. Option 1 is correct. Be careful about the units, because in the first and 3 joules are given, second and 4 volt is given. Even though first and second have same numbers, units are different. So option 1 is correct. Now going for the 36th question. In the circuit, E is 60 volts. It is 60 volts given. R1 is 100 ohms. R2, R3, this is 50, this is 50, and R4 is 75. Observe, R2, R4, R3 are all in parallel. Therefore, R2 and R3 parallel means their effective resistance is half of them as they are equal. Now the circuit will become just this much 100, and I write R4 as it is. Instead of R2, R3, 50 by 2 to be written 25. R4 is 75 now. Therefore, this is 60 volts. R4, 75 and 25 are in parallel. Therefore, effective resistance of R4 and 25 is R4 into 25 by R4 plus 25, which is 75 into 25 by 75 plus 25, which is 75 into 25 by 100. 25 fours are, and this is 18.75. Therefore, 18.75 is R4 into 25 by R4 plus 25. Therefore, effective current resistance is R1 plus 18.75, 100 plus 18.75, 118.75 ohms. So option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Question number 37. In the circuit shown, the value of I in ampere. Observe, in the I branch, 4 and 4 are in parallel and 4 in series. As these two are in parallel, as they are equal, their effective resistance is 4 by 2, which is 2 ohms. And this 2 ohm and 4 ohm are in series. Therefore, I can write the circuit like this. This is 4 and this is I there. 4 plus 2, 6 ohms now. 4 plus 2, 6 ohms. Now that is connected to battery of 4 volts and 1.6 ohms resistance. Because of this, this 2 will be 6 now. We are asked to calculate current I. So we calculate the effective current I dash in the circuit. I dash is, say, R net resistance is 4 into 6 by 4 plus 6 plus 1.6, that is 24 by 10 plus 1.6. 2.4 plus 1.6 is 4 ohms net resistance. Therefore, I dash, the main current or net current I dash, is E by R net. E is 4 by 4 is 1 ampere. I dash is 1 ampere current. Therefore, we are asked to calculate I through 6 ohm. For that, we can straight away write down like this. I dash into RP, I dash into RP, which is equal to I into 6 ohms, as RP is these two effective resistance, 6 into 4 by 6 plus 4, which is 2.4, which we call as RP there. So this, in the above calculation, I can write it as RP there. So 2.4 is RP, and I dash we know 1 into 2.4 equals I into 6. Therefore, which amounts to be 0.4 ampere. Option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. Now we read 38 question. ABC are voltmeters of resistance 4,000, 6,000 and 12,000. This is 4,000, this is 6,000 and 12,000 ohms respectively. When some potential difference between X and Y, the voltmeter readings VA, VB, VC respectively, then we do one thing. Say 600, 6,000 and 12,000. These two combined in parallel, the effective resistance of them is 6,000 into 12,000 by 18,000, their sum there, which amounts to be 4,000 only. Again, say this 3 goes there, 6 3s are, 3 4s are, so 4,000 ohms there. That means B and C parallel connected will amount to be net resistance 4,000. That means the resistance of A is 4,000, effective resistance of B and C is also 4,000. That means applied voltage is equally divided when two equal resistance are connected in parallel. Therefore, what is VA should be equal to potential difference across effective 4000 ohms. 4000 ohms. That is possible only when, as B and C are in parallel, VB is equal to VC. Therefore, VA equals VB equals VC is the answer. Option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. Now going for the 39th question. The equivalent resistance between points A and B will be, each resistance is of 1.5 ohm. Say it is 15 ohm, it is wrongly printed. It is 15 ohm. We take like this. Observe this point, the center of the circuit, can be taken as point of symmetry, and we can disconnect the circuit there. Look at this circuit now, how I write. Say these two and these two separated. Now these two get separated like this, and this is AB. Observe, this is 15, 15, 15. This is 15, and here is also one 15, and these two 15, 15, 15. Observe these three 15. These 15 and 15 are in series. Here also they are in series, and then with parallel. So we calculate first 15 plus 15, 30, and that 30 in parallel with 15, 30 plus 30 into 15 plus 30 plus 15, 30 into 15 by 45, 15 3s are, 3 10s are. So each 15, 15, 15 combination will be equal to 10. This also 10. Now the circuit becomes simple 10 ohm there, 15 and 15. This is 10 and this is A and B. Observe this 15, 15 and 10 are in series with, and then they are in parallel with 10. Therefore, this circuit will simply 15 plus 15, 30 plus 10, 40, and it is 10 here. This is A and B. So they are in parallel. We take effective resistance 40 into 10 by 40 plus 10. It is 400 by 50, that is 8 ohms. So option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Question number 40 we think of. The terminals of a 18 volts battery with an internal resistance 24 ohm are connected to a circular wire of resistance 24 ohm at 2 points distant at 1/4 of the circumference of a circular wire. The current through the bigger arc of the circle will be, bigger arc of the circle will be. We write a figure like this. Say this is the circular wire, and we mark 2 points A and B at 1/4 of the circular length like this, and we connect a battery there. And this battery is of 18 volts, 24 ohms. And this overall wire length is also 24, wire resistance is also 24 ohms. And we know 1/4 of the circumference, 1/4 of the circumference is connected like this. So if we have a length L which is equal to 2 pi r, the one circumference, AB 1/4 of circumference means the resistance of AB, 1/4 is 1/4 of 24 ohms, that is 6 ohms. In the same manner, the bigger part, RACB part, is 3/4 of the circumference into 24, that is 18 ohms. So RACB is the bigger arc resistance, RAB is the smaller arc resistance. Smaller arc as it is 1/4, we take 1/4 of the total resistance 24.6 ohm, and ACB is 3/4 the length, therefore 3/4 of the resistance will be there, 18 ohms. Now as 18 and 6, these two are in parallel, RAB and ACB are in parallel, we take effective resistance, R effective is RAB into RACB divided by RAB plus RACB. We write RAB is 6, RACB is 18 by RAB plus R8, 6 plus 18, that is 6 into 18 by 24, 4 4s are 6 4s are 24, therefore 18 by 4 is the R effective, 18 by 4 ohms is the R effective. Therefore, the net current I in the circuit is E by R plus R. Therefore, E is 18 by 18 by plus 18 by 4 plus 24. So 18 by 18 into 4 I can write 18 plus 96. Therefore 18 into 4 divided by 104 plus 10. 104 plus 10, 114, because 96 plus 8 is 104 plus 10, 114. If we divide that, we have I now. The current through the bigger thing, RACB, is simply branch current we can apply. RACB, IACB is main current I into resistance in the other branch, RAB by sum of the resistance, ACB plus RAB. Therefore, I is 18 into 4 by 114 into RAB. RAB is 6 divided by RACB plus RAB is 24. Therefore, 18 into 4 into 6 divided by 24 into 114. If we simplify this, we get 3 by 19 as the answer. You can check that. 3 by 19 ampere is the answer. Option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. Now going for the 41st question. Observe, this can be done by using Kirchhoff's laws also, but easiest idea is to use the basic concept or basic conditions for the current flow. When current flows, there should be two things to be satisfied: potential difference and conducting path. Now we read the question. In the following circuit, G records zero deflection, that is galvanometer records zero deflection, that means no current here. Then X is, observe, this current IG equals 0. That means there is no potential difference across this. Therefore, if I mark this as B there, at B the potential difference is 4 volts, because this 4 and this 4 cancels the potential difference and makes galvanometer current 0. Now, therefore, say potential difference across 30 ohms is 10 volts minus 4 volts. So current in 30 volts, current in 30 ohms is 10 minus 4, what I call as I there, 10 minus 4 by 30, which is 6 by 30, which amounts to be 1 by 5 or 0.2 ampere. Once we know I, observe, as current IG is 0, all that I should flow through X. But as 10 volts and 4 volts negative terminals are connected to X there commonly, and we can take this point C as at 0 volts potential. 0 volts potential. Therefore, the I can also be written as potential difference across X divided by resistance divided by resistance. So I is now 0.2 ampere potential difference 4 minus 0 divided by resistance X there. So X is 4 by 0.2 or 40 by 2, which amounts to be 20 ohms. So option 2 is correct. Say option B. Now the 42nd question we learn like this. Just observe. It's a little bit tricky question, but you can think of this easily if you understand the things. Now, B1, B2, B3 are the three identical bulbs connected to a battery of EMF with key K closed. What happens to the brightness of the bulbs B1 and B3 when key is opened? Observe here, when key is closed, B2, B3 net effective resistance is smaller than the smallest value among B2 and B3. As they are identical, say, when B2, B3 are connected parallel, their effective resistance is R by 2 if individual bulb resistance is R. Therefore, we have to actually analyze the situation like this. When key K is closed, R effective is B2, B3 are in parallel, therefore R effective is R by 2 plus R, the B1 resistance, that is 3R by 2 is the resistance of the whole network. Therefore, current I equals, if we assume E as the EMF, E by 3R by 2, that is 2 by 3 E by R. That is the net current flowing when key is closed. So I, the B1, through B1 it flows, and through B3 half of this current flows because B3 and B2 are of same resistances. Therefore, I3, the current through B3, IB3 now is, say, 2 by 3 E by R by 2, that is 0.3 R E by R. If I write this as 0.6 E by R, this is 0.3 E by R. Now, when key is open, when K open, the effective resistance R effective dash is R resistance of B1 and plus resistance of B3, that is 2R only. Therefore, the I net current now is E by 2R or 0.5 R. This 0.5 R also flows through B3. So now B1 and B3 have the same current. Now we can analyze the situation and we can write the answer. Observe, when K is closed, current through B1 is 0.6 E by R. After key is open, current through B1 is 0.5 R. That means current through B1 decreases once key is open. Therefore, B1 brightness decreases. Now we think of for B3. Say, before opening the key, B3, current through B3 is 0.3 times E by R. But once key is open, same current, 0.5 R flows through B3. That means now the B3 gets more current than previously, what was 0.3. Therefore, B3 brightness increases. Therefore, answer is brightness of B1 decreases and brightness of B3 increases. That is second option. Brightness of bulb B1 decreases and that of B3 increases. Second option is correct option. say 43rd question. When two equal resistances are connected in parallel to the poles of a cell of negligible internal resistance, power developed is EP. When same resistance are connected in series across the same cell, power developed is, say we write, when they are in parallel, P is E square by R by 2. As R is the resistance of each one, so effective resistance is R by 2, or which we can write as 2 E square by R. Now, when the same resistance are connected in series, that means when series connection is made, P dash is E square by 2R, because series R plus R is 2R. Now we want P dash, we can rearrange the terms here to have the resistance, or we can divide them. P dash by P is E square by 2R by 2 E square by R, that is 1 by 4. Therefore, P dash is P by 4. Option 3 is correct. Option 3 is correct. Going for the 44th question is a beautiful question in which a trick is used, what we learned in capacitor. Any 2 points connected by wire are one and the same. Observe these 2 points, what I mark. They are connected by a wire. That means the effect of this, all these resistances gone, because all these resistances end points are marked and they are connected by wire. So this effect of these 4 resistances gone. In the same way, this 1 ohm effect is also gone, because that is also parallel to this connection. In the same manner, 3 ohm is also parallel to this connection. So what we have finally in this circuit is simply 1 ohm there, a wire, and a 2 ohm there. This is 2 ohm and this is 1 ohm connected to 12. Therefore, the current through the 2 ohm is nothing but the current drawn by the battery also, that is E by R, that is 12 by 3, 2 plus 1, 3, that is 4 ampere. Option 4 is correct. The next question, or 45th question for this session, goes like this. What is the current I through the circuit? I is this, that is current drawn by the battery. It's very easy. These 2 ohms are in series, and that is in parallel with these 3. So this circuit is simply just this much. Between A and C, we have 3. Between A and C only, we have 3 plus 3, 6. Therefore, effective combination of this is 6 into 3 by 6 plus 3, which amounts to be 2 ohms, and EMF is 2 volt. Therefore, I is equal to E by R. E is 2 by 2 ohms, that is 1 ampere. Option 1 is correct. So this ends first part of our electric current CET class. Next, in the next session, we continue with the CET part, where we consider Kirchhoff's laws, potential, and some miscellaneous circuits. So you practice these problems again and again, and again to say, practice large number of other problems in CET